couple of hours at Summer Leys on this lovely spring morning. It's my first time here since they brought in new parking charges and a barrier system, which doesn't look as though it's working. I'm starting at the rotary hide and then I'll head down towards the feeding station. Looking out on the island, we've got a couple of oyster catcher and, as expected, black-headed gulls. It's mostly black-headed gulls that are interested in the floating nesting platforms. It's still a little early for common tern. I'm travelling light today. I've just got my Canon Legria HF G60, so I haven't got a fantastically long lens, but hopefully we'll get some decent footage, like these shoveler duck. It's a perfect early spring day. The buds are starting to appear, along with the first early green leaves. And brand new nest boxes await their first occupants. On entering the pioneer hide, a couple of kind ladies pointed out that a male pintail was showing well, a situation where a longer lens would have been handy. I'll leave the pioneer hide and take a moment to film the bright yellow flowers of these lesser celandine and make my way past blackthorn hedges heavy with blossom. Above me, in the uppermost branches of a tree, I can hear a chiff-chaff, and although I've heard chiff-chaff this year, this is my first footage. I'll do part of the circular walk today as far as the feeding station, taking in the Paul Britton hide on the way. I catch movement in the trees above my head. It's a small flock of long-tailed tit. Filming handheld makes it easy to follow these notoriously hard birds to film. They're constantly on the move as they flit among the branches in search of their diet of mainly insects, but during the autumn and winter months they will eat seeds too. I move on, and it's good to feel the early spring sunshine on my face. I pass more blackthorn blossom in abundance. With blackthorn, the blossom appear before the leaves, and a little later hawthorn blossoms after the leaves appear. I reach the Paul Britton hide, and I'm greeted by the now regular sight of a great white egret. And there's also a couple of red shank, the UK's commonest wader. And the black-headed gulls are taking exception to the presence of the great white. But it is the start of the nesting season, and they will take both eggs and chicks. Other birds on view from the Paul Britton hide are widgeon, which are actually amber status birds, and a little closer, a moorhen. And a little further out, a coot. And this blue tit pays the briefest of visits. The great white egret is on the prowl again. Of course, the population of this elegant member of the heron family is ever increasing here in the UK. The red shank coming a little bit closer, just on the water's edge there, and as a couple of shoveler fly in, the black-headed gulls have decided it's time to start dive bombing the great white egret once again. The red shank still coming a little closer. With a 2x converter, I can get around 30 times magnification with this camera. Okay, moving on again past yet more blossom, which of course is attracting various bees. I'm going to make my way to the feeding station and then double back from there. This is the feeding station. You usually get a good mix of birds coming to these feeders, including bullfinch. And indeed, here's the female of the species. And of course, where there's feeders, there's also grey squirrel. And now we have goldfinch and briefly a blue tit. Feeding stations like this can be popular with stills photographers because the birds very often come onto surrounding branches before coming down onto the feeders. Well, we've got a male greenfinch, that's nice to see. Unfortunately, been in decline, and there a female brambling. The briefest of shots, but there we are, there's a still. That's the first brambling I've filmed here. Much more colourful bird than chaffinch. There's the female chaffinch there. Much drabber bird. And not too far away I can see a male, a little bit more colourful. And that looks as though it's got the fungal disease on its legs. And then a magpie with a striking pied plumage with the blue wing flash. And on the ground there, a male reed bunting. Just seen another female bullfinch in the bushes. The male keeps coming to this feeder, but then flies off immediately. But that's another male on the table. The male comes to the feeder again, but immediately flies off. They're very flighty, but it has gone up into the branch and then back to the feeder. And that's it. Pleasant couple of hours spent here at Summer Leys on this beautiful early spring day. Hope you enjoyed the film, and I'll see you again soon.